introduce the next speaker. This man is magical beyond words and has, with no exaggeration, been one of the greatest healers and mentors in my life. Dr. Dain Heer is the co-founder of Access Consciousness, a best-selling author, and an incredibly powerful healer. He has facilitated and transformed the lives of literally thousands of people around the world, including mine, and has the ability to facilitate change in any area of your life. He is known for his powerful energetic transformation process called the energetic synthesis of being, which truly transcends all words and can only be experienced. He has a particular potency with bodies, and I'm so excited and grateful that he's going to spend today's session on what he calls body whispering. Today's session is an opportunity for us to start a conversation with our bodies that can lead to inconceivable communion with it. Welcome to Rejuvenate, Dr. Dain, and thank you for being you.
Monisha, what an honor and a pleasure. I thank you. I also would like to thank the Positivity Project for what you are doing and being in the world. Thank you so much. And it is an honor today to speak to you about body whispering, especially in today's world. We have, let's face it, we have a lot going on with our bodies now. And a lot of people have noticed a lot more stress, a lot more tension. You know, they feel like they might be getting sick and they're worried about it. So what I'd like to do today in the hour that we have together is invite you to a different awareness of your body, invite you to a different possibility for how you can experience it and how you can live with this beautiful creature called your body that most of us have actually been taught to ignore. See, in the world we live in, we've been taught that there is a higher self, and you with your body are somehow the lower self. I'm here to tell you that nothing could be farther from the truth. These beautiful creatures actually have a consciousness, a beautiful gifting energy that they would actually like to be acknowledged for. And the interesting thing is when we start to acknowledge our bodies, our lives start to become more peaceful, more spacious, and actually more magical. And it doesn't matter where you live, because a lot of us think that, you know, if we're living in a country with well over 1 billion people, that we can't have very much space. But what I found is if we allow ourselves to have a space with our body, no matter how many other people are around, we have a sense of space. We have a sense of ease. And if you could think about what it's like when you go out in nature, where it feels like after a while, the walls and barriers finally come down and you feel like you can breathe more deeply. And it feels like you can actually receive more and let more in. You start to notice the plants, you notice the sounds of nature, you notice the animals around, you notice the insects crawling on the leaves, and you have this sense of being one with everything around you. Well, I'd like to ask you, what would it be like if you could somehow, without knowing how, and this is the key, you don't have to know how, but what would it be like if you could somehow open up to having that and being that with your body? What that would invite, if you could have that space with your body that you have when you go out in nature, it would invite that to be with you all the time. In fact, you might start looking at your body as your best friend rather than something that limits you and keeps you small and keeps you less than the spiritual being you are. See, my point of view is you're actually a conscious being, and you have this beautiful body for a reason, and it's actually a gift. This body that you have is a gift. It's something that if you choose to acknowledge it, if you choose to be present with that, can change the way you experience every moment of your life. Now, what I'd like to do first, and in a little bit, I'll be reading from my latest book. Guess what it's called? I don't know if you can see it, but it's called Body Whispering. Yeah, I know. Those of us who come up with titles are so clever and creative, okay? Body Whispering, a new way of seeing, being, and healing. I'll be reading from that in just a moment, but first, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do something that hopefully will give you a different perspective, okay? What I'd like you to do, and when we do this, you can either close your eyes or not, however works for you. And by the way, one of the things I would like you to have as a tool and an awareness in your life from this point forward is anything that is true for you will always make you lighter. A lie for you will always make you heavier. So if something I say makes you heavy, it may just not be true for you. You don't have to take it. You can take all the rest that makes you lighter. And if you apply it after this to every situation in your life, if you're having a conversation with somebody and you start getting heavy, it's because there's a lie involved there. And you can either ask for clarity or you can just recognize, wow, this is not true for me, even and especially if they're really being forceful about it, that you should believe it. Well, maybe that's an acknowledgement that they're being forceful because they know it's not true and they're trying to get you to align and agree with them and their point of view. You can just walk away or not take it on as yours. Or if you're browsing the internet or listening to something and you start getting heavy, move on to something that makes you light. Now, this awareness of heavy and light is actually something that our bodies give us. It's an amazing gift. They're there all the time as a litmus test for what is true for us. And here's the other thing to recognize is what is true for you may not be true for anybody else on this planet. And I know that's a little strange, but if you're actually going to embrace this possibility of having a connection with your body, or what I would like to call a communion with your body, which is where there is no separation, where there's total adoration and admiration, total gratitude, a total sense of presence with each other. If you're going to embrace this, one of the things you're going to have to get is that you're different. And that difference is actually the gift of you. Unfortunately, when we're different, we're made wrong. From the time we're little kids, man, the kids that are different are made wrong, except those of you watching this are the square pegs in the round holes. And you've never fit. And how much energy have you spent over the course of your life trying to fit you into a box that is not yours and doesn't work? Nowhere is this more true than what we experience with our bodies. So what I'm going to ask you to do is acknowledge just for a moment, and I know it may seem, I know a lot of you are going to go, oh my God, yes, thank you. Some of you may be like, no, I can't. But what I'd like you to do is just acknowledge that the difference you are is a gift, that this different exploration with your body is a gift. And it's a gift not just for you and your body, but for all bodies across the planet. Because if the current situation in the world has taught us anything, if this pandemic has made us aware of anything, it's that our bodies are aware of other bodies. How many times over the last 2 years or year and a half have you had a cough and thought, oh my God, I'm going to die? Well, one of the awarenesses that I'd like to share with you is somewhere between 50 and 100% of the things that go on in your body don't actually belong to your body. They're not actually yours, and they're energies and things your body is aware of in other people's bodies that it's trying to tell you. If you've ever walked by somebody and gotten back pain and gone, oh my goodness, what was going on? And then your friend says, well, you know, I've had this terrible back pain. And you're like, oh my goodness. I think a lot of us have had an experience like that. And that's what our bodies are doing all the time. They're actually communicating with each other. There's a great tool you can ask, a great tool you can use, a question you can ask, which is, who does this belong to? Body, who does this belong to? Is this actually ours? So when you notice, and that works for thoughts, feelings, and emotions also, it works for worries, it works for concerns, it works for anger, it works for fear. Who does this belong to? Is it actually ours? And if it's not yours, it'll lighten up even just a little bit. And when that happens, just ask to return it to sender, or all of the senders. In other words, all the people that you're aware of, all the bodies that your body is telling you about, and just ask to return it, because you can't do anything to change something if it's not yours. The only thing you can do is acknowledge that it's not yours and then return it to sender. Okay, I do realize at this moment, I need to acknowledge to you all that I have ADHD big time, okay? And OCD and elements of autism. And what does that mean? Well, I will start here and I will go here and then over here and then over here and then over here. But it's always based on following a thread of energy. In other words, I'll say something to you which sparks things in your world that I go, oh, let's talk about this now, because now the door is open for this conversation. See, I didn't come here with a plan about what I was going to say. I came here with a lot of awarenesses. I came here with decades of experience working with bodies. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people around the world at this point, and every one of their bodies has given me information. That's actually why I wrote the Body Whispering book, because I wanted other people to have access to the information that most people didn't even know existed at the time. So in talking about this, who does this belong to idea, I recognize it's actually one of the greatest tools that you can use to unburden yourself and unburden your body. And let's face it, we have billions of people stressing out around the world. And the longer the pandemic goes on, the more stress people embody. What if 98% of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions, 98% of your stress was something you were picking up from other people? What if 50 to 100% of literally the physical things in your body were not actually something that belonged to you? And what if it's as easy, even though it seems crazy, most of what I say seems crazy until you try it and then you go, oh my God, I thought it was crazy, but it actually worked. And I understand that because I thought it was crazy too when I heard it 20 plus years ago. But what if it could be as simple as asking a question and being present with our body to see what shows up and to see if it lightens up, to see if it changes, and then go, wow, it lightened up. Okay, based on what that crazy guy in orange said, it's actually not mine or my body's. Okay, well then, bye-bye. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so this is one of the possibilities that's available. And I really needed to go into this apparently because if you could empty out 98% of your monkey mind and you only had the last 2% to deal with that was actually yours, how much easier would life get? Well, if you could eliminate the 50 to 100% of things that your body is showing you physically that actually are not belonging to it, how much more space and ease would you have with this beautiful creature? So I wanted to present that tool to you. If you look me up online on YouTube, there's a whole playlist on this concept of who does this belong to. So please feel free to go there. I'm not going to belabor the point anymore, but I wanted to present it because it's one of the most dynamic things that I use in every single session that I do. And I've got to say, I ask it of myself and my body probably at least every day, if not several times a day, because my body and I are aware also, just like you are. Okay, so back to the thing I was going to start with. But isn't that kind of how life works if you allow it to be? You know, we spend so much time trying to control the path so we walk on only the right stones, rather than let our awareness and let there be a meandering path of consciousness in our life and know that we'll be taken care of by this beautiful universe in which we live, by this benevolent planet, and follow the meandering path. So everything you've done to make you wrong, if you don't take each perfect step the way you've decided it should be, rather than having the gift and the joy of having a meandering path that leads you magically to what you're asking for, will you let that go now, please? Thank you. Okay. Now we have a way of doing that I'm not sure we're going to get into today, given the time constraint. It's called the clearing statement. If you want to go check it out, you can go to theclearingstatement.com. But it's basically the biggest upgrade in personal development since personal development has existed. Those of you who use cancel clear when you say or think something and you want to change it, and you know it doesn't work, but you're doing something, which is great, this actually changes it by going back to the point of where it started. We may do some of that, but part of what I'm trying to do today is give you some tools and some different perspectives, but also a different energy, a different space that you can possibly be. Because the way it works is when you perceive a different space being available, what occurs in that moment is if you desire it, then you can choose it because you know that space is available. What an amazing gift. So as I was saying before, you choosing to be more space with your body What does that create? It creates the space where others can actually have more space with theirs. Wow. I can think of no greater gift to be for you and your body and all the bodies around the world at this point. Okay, so back to the thing I thought I was starting with. Let's do this. So you can either keep your eyes closed or not. Remember when I said that? That's where I'm going right now, okay? You can either keep your eyes closed or not. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to expand out 1 kilometer in all directions, okay? Now, you don't even have to visualize it. All you have to do is ask, okay? And I'm going to go through this quickly because all you have to do is ask. You don't have to get it and like... consciousness actually should be fun. And it should be relatively easy. Yeah, you got to do the work, but consciousness should be fun and easy, which is kind of weird because a lot of us are so used to suffering to try to get somewhere. Consciousness has a totally different perspective, okay? In Access Consciousness, which is a movement, we're in 176 countries around the world at this point, and we have a definition of consciousness, which is where everything exists and nothing is judged. Could you imagine, just for a moment, never judging you again? What? Not possible. I know, I thought the same thing. Could you imagine never judging anybody else again? Could you imagine never judging anything that goes on in the world ever again? And instead ask this question, what else is possible that I've never considered? I'm just going to give you a moment with that. Now, if you could imagine that, and yes, I am going away from the thing I started with. I will get back to it, I promise. Welcome to my brain. Sorry, everybody that knows me calls it Dain's brain. And, you know, when you're in the presence of it, just buckle up and we're going for a ride, okay? How many of you are like that, though? How many of you have that thing and you've been trying to make yourself wrong because you cannot do linear and everybody's like, you need to do linear. What if it's a gift that you're not linear? What if instead of trying to make you wrong for not being linear, what if instead you went, what gift is this that I've never acknowledged? Because if you're willing to acknowledge it as a gift, you'll then see the gift that it is. Weird, eh? Okay, so back to the conversation. If you allowed no judgment, if you could get a sense of what it would be like to have absolutely no judgment of you or your body right now, or you and anything in the world, or you or anybody else, how would your body feel? Imagine if you woke up tomorrow and had absolutely no judgment in your world of anyone or anything. And no matter how hard you tried, you know that machine that starts, you know how it is when you wake up some days on these rare days where you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I feel so good. Yay. And then within a few minutes to like maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour, there's that machine that starts that makes your mind start going and going. And then you judge what you didn't do yesterday and what you have to do today and what you don't have time for and what you did wrong in that conversation you had with that person that made them feel bad. You don't even know what you said, but they feel bad and now they don't like you. And your kids are like spinning up all over the walls. And you know what I'm talking about, right? That thing, that monkey mind thing. Well, let's do something. And yes, I still haven't gotten to the other thing. I will get to the other thing, I promise. Unless I forget, and then I won't get to the other thing. So imagine you wake up tomorrow and you have absolutely no judgment in your world. And no matter what, that machine does not turn on again. So here you are lying on your bed, you're noticing the sheets, the blanket on top of you, and with no judgment and with no monkey mind, no distraction into contraction, which is what judgment is. Judgment is a distraction into contraction, okay? With none of that, you notice the sheets on your skin and your body has a level of sensitivity you didn't know was possible. And you have a gratitude for it and you put your hands on your body and you just go, wow, hi, beautiful body. And you have this sense of being totally connected. No work to do it, it just is, okay? And so here you are, you be with that for a few minutes and you just are like, wow, everywhere you touch on your body, you can actually sense it. You can feel your body under your hands on your body, and it's just beautiful. And it's got a sense of space, it's got a sense of connection. It's got a sense of, wow, hello. I don't know that I've ever met you before. Hi, body. Nice to meet you. Hello. And so here you are just reveling in this because it feels so good. Part of the reason I love consciousness and part of the reason I love to give people tools, because I'm a big believer in tools, because I was at a place where I wanted to end my life 20 plus years ago. And I had a session of Access Consciousness bars and it changed it. I went from depressed and suicidal to grateful for being alive. And it makes me cry because I didn't think it was possible. And I thought I was going to end my life because of the suffering I was in. Okay. And after that, though, there was this world of tools that was available that when the universe wanted to cave in on my head, I would use a tool and I would get that space back again. And I would get bars every week and the space would grow. And when the universe wanted to cave back in on my head and make me depressed and unhappy and cranky, I would use the tools that I had available and it would expand again. The last 20 plus years have been a continuous expansion of space based on the tools and the willingness to use them, which is why I'm sharing tools with you today. Like, who does this belong to? And this idea of waking up and connecting with your body. So here you are, you spend way more time in bed because you're not actually in judgment and it feels so good and you have no idea what happened. You have no idea how you got there. You're just grateful that you got there. And you keep sort of waiting for the monkey mind to start, that monkey mind of judgment and separation and yuck, stuck, and what the, it's an F word that rhymes with stuck and yuck and has the last three letters. So you get the idea. And it's just not there. And it's got such a space to it that you wonder, like, where has this been all my life? So you enjoy your body, you enjoy the sensations you're perceiving, and you go and you look in the mirror, you know, let's say you're going to brush your teeth. Hopefully you brush your teeth. Probably better for your body and everybody around you. Just a suggestion if you don't know this yet. Okay. And you stand in the mirror and you have no clothes on. And for the first time, you have no judgment of what you see. You look, and instead you sense the consciousness of this beautiful creature. And you just stare in awe at your body in gratitude for the space that it is and the presence that it is for you and with you. And this, you be there with it for moments and many moments because it feels so good. Have you noticed I've said several times because it feels so good? This thing of getting beyond judgment, this thing of connecting with our bodies, it feels good. In fact, it feels friggin' awesome. And in fact, here's another thing. It is a possibility for you if you're willing to be different enough to choose it. Now, I'm also looking around for those of you, because I'm facilitating a class. Guess what it's called? Because I'm so clever with names. Body whispering. Okay, so we've been in this class. We were in this class yesterday. So that's part of the reason I'm looking around. That's not my ADHD. That's my acknowledgement of the people in the room that are contributing to this conversation, just so you know. Okay, and I wanted to do this conversation during this class because of the contribution that everybody in this class, because there are people in the room and also around the world, the contribution that they could be energetically to all of you that are watching. So I have a favor. Will you do me a favor, please? I have a favor. I have a question. I have a question to ask, a favor to ask of you. Will you please lower your walls and barriers and receive? And we've all been made wrong for not receiving enough our entire lives. And that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is receiving isn't what we thought it was. Can you just lower the walls and barriers and let this in, please? At the very least, it'll create some more space for you in your body. At the most, might change your perspective on a lot of things. Okay, so you now go into the shower, and as soon as the water hits your body, you're like, oh my God, this feels so good. And you're in there and you are just enjoying it. You have this level of sensitivity, this level of gratitude. It feels like every molecule in your body is coming alive. And so you may take the longest shower you have ever taken. And you realize, oh my goodness, I'm late for work, which for some of you at this point means I'm late to get to my living room for the Zoom or whatever it is for you, okay? But in the space of no judgment, rather than, oh my goodness, I'm late, I'm wrong, you go, wow, I'm late, but was such a beautiful and amazing experience. It'll be okay. So let's say you're doing a Zoom thing, for example, and I know we all do all kinds of different things, but let's say you're doing a Zoom thing, and in the space of no judgment, you get on the Zoom, and I'm assuming you put your clothes on by this point, just to be clear. Okay, good. By the way, if you haven't laughed yet, check your pulse. Okay, laughter is one of the greatest gifts we can be for the world. Laughter is one of the greatest gifts we can be for our bodies. Laughter creates far more change than tears. Also, if we could stop taking ourselves so friggin' seriously, how much greater would our lives get? I mean, really, how much time do we spend being very like, "Arr"? And how many spiritual people do you know that never smile, but they know how to judge every color of light and good and bad? And which is why for me, what I'm interested in is whatever creates more lightness, as long as it doesn't infringe upon somebody else's choice, but lightness never infringes upon the choice of another. And the idea that we've been sold is that we need to embrace heaviness and change it. That's our job on this planet. Actually, it's not. Our job on this planet, if we have one, number one is to have fun. And I know you all think I'm crazy, and I don't blame you. I thought I was crazy when I heard this was our job too. I've since found that the more fun I have, the more change I facilitate for other people. The more fun I have, the more of an invitation to possibilities I am. The more fun I have, the more the world changes around me. So everywhere you've decided that your job is to take on, remember we talked about 98% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions aren't yours? 50 to 100% of what goes on in your body is not yours. So everywhere you decided that your job was to take on all the heaviness of the world and you would change it. Let me ask you a question. How's that going for you? Have you changed the heaviness of the world by taking it on? Have you seen the world we live in right now? It's nuts. And not like squirrel nuts. And not, well, forget it. I'm not going to mention the other kind of nuts. It's nuts. It's cray-cray. It's loco. What if your job is not to take on the heaviness, my beautiful friends? What if you change the world far more by being the lightness? And by recognizing that there are people like you that are the weirdos, as I've already talked about. And the original meaning of weird was of spirit, fate, or destiny. But what if you recognize that there are weirdos like you, weirdos like me, people who are the square pegs in the round holes. Actually, they're more like the rainbow-colored 22-sided dodecahedron in a round hole that do not fit, that are dying for the lack of lightness. And what if you could be the invitation for them by being light? Where everybody else is like, oh my God, I'm dying, drama, and you were like, hi, I'm happy. Now, of course, there are a lot of people who are going to look at you and want to really take away your happy. We've all had that. But if you don't let it be taken away, you don't have to tell people you're happy, by the way, but you start to embrace a sense of lightness, which is also where a sense of humor comes from, which is also where laughter comes from. When you start to embrace lightness and laughter and joy, you be that invitation for all of us other weirdos to know it is possible. To know that they don't have to live lives of heaviness anymore. To know they don't have to be heavy with their body anymore. To know that they can have a sense of joy that most people don't even recognize is possible. But why are we alive if we're not enjoying being alive? Why are we alive if we're not actually enjoying being alive? Would you be willing right now to embrace the joy of being alive, even if you don't know what it looks like, even if you don't know what it takes? All it is a choice, my friends, and that opens the door, and then you got to choose. Thank you very much. And everything that doesn't allow that, will you let that go, please? Thank you. Okay, so back to our conversation. Here you are. You're getting on your Zoom naked. Oh, sorry. Back up. Sorry. You're getting on your Zoom. You have your clothes on. Thank you. Okay. Even though people might appreciate it more if you didn't, you still have your clothes on because we want to be appropriate. Okay. Especially in a work situation. Hold on, I need to see how long I have to harass you. Yay, 31 more minutes. Okay, so you get on the Zoom and you are being such a different space that you notice that the normal sort of like, and the like infighting and the superiority and the judgment and all that stuff is not there because of the space you are being. And you notice that you're being this space that seems to invite everybody else to be space. You're being this space that is like, and you notice you're like, what is going on? Everything is so different. People that used to fight at each other and they're not. Everybody seems to be getting along. And you realize what's different is you. You have somehow chosen to be something that is beyond judgment. And no matter how much that judgment machine wants to start, it doesn't. And because of you choosing to be that, it doesn't start for anybody. Because when you're a big enough space, what's true is all that can be in that space, okay? If you take a lie and make it infinite, it disappears. If you take something that's true and make it infinite, it gets more substantial, okay? So let's try this for a moment. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about somebody that you care about, okay? Just get that sense of caring for someone. Like for me, I'm going to use Monisha, somebody I care about dynamically, the one that did the introduction for me, and just such an incredibly beautiful creature, desiring to contribute to so many people. So it goes way beyond caring. It's adoration, it's admiration, it's gratitude. It's like a sister from another mister. Okay, so you find somebody like that in your life and get the sense of that energy, okay? Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to make it infinite, bigger than the universe, not never ending, not eternal, but infinite. Like just take that caring and just expand it. What happens to it? Does it actually get more substantial when you do that? For most people, yes. Well, actually for everybody, if they get what I'm talking about and do it. Because anytime you take something that's true and make it infinite, it gets more substantial, it gets bigger. Because actually your level of caring, which is one of the things that is true for all of us, whether we want to know it or not, your level of caring is far greater than you've acknowledged. And when you expand it, it acknowledges how big it actually is for you. So now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to, one of the other things you can do, and I'll let you do this on your own, is you can take an upset, take some weird energy, something that is still sticking you, something that judgment machine produced about blah, blah, it's like, that contraction. If you take that and make it infinite, what happens is it disappears because upset is never a truth. When you take something that's true and make it infinite, it gets more substantial. When you take a lie and make it infinite, the lie disappears. So here you are on this Zoom, and you're being such a space that the lies can no longer exist. And here's one other thing. Judgment is always a lie, whether we're doing it of ourselves or our bodies. So here you are being a space, and you notice people transform. So you're on this Zoom meeting and everybody's like, wow, this is so different. This is so amazing. And people comment on it. You're like, wow, I actually know what happened. It was me. Now, I know a lot of you would be like, I don't want to claim credit for it. Well, you don't have to claim credit for it. You don't tell anybody. They're not going to believe you. Just know it, okay? Because nobody's going to buy. Nobody's going to get that. Nobody's going to, well, some people will, but very few. Don't tell anybody. Just be it. So then your partner walks into the room, your enjoyable other, if you will, and you notice that you're being this space and they also get to be this space. And there they are, and you just stand and look at each other and you're like, wow, none of the separation is there. And you just look at each other, admiring and adoring each other and being grateful for each other. And when one other person that you really care about has that too, and you're like, wow, none of the walls of judgment exist. They're gone. I don't know what happened, but thank you so much. It gets even bigger. And now your kids come into the room and you got one teenager who's always like, being a teenager. We know what teenager, not all, but most, how teenagers are. Okay. And they're like, and they walk into the room and they're like, hi, mom and dad. Wow, you're so different. And they also are different. They don't have this thing of judgment. And then the little kids come in and they're playing and you can sense their exuberance and you don't try to shut it down and you receive it and you recognize, wow, they have this exuberance that I didn't realize they had because I shut it down because I've been in this wall of judgment. And you notice in that moment that your whole world is different. So get a sense of, as you go through that one day with that space, get a sense of waking up the next morning. How much bigger is your world and how much more peace? Get a sense of having that same thing occur. That judgment machine is now broken. And you live that day from no judgment and total space. And the next, and get a sense of the way it would be a week in the future. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. How different is your world? Does it have more space? How different is our world? Because how many people have you interacted with and affected that have more space? So if we choose to go beyond judgment, and this is crucial with our bodies, if we choose to go beyond judgment, we become a space of possibilities that infects people around the world. What we have currently is a bunch of people who are choosing a lot of trauma and drama, a lot of pain and suffering, a lot of intense alignment and agreement, a lot of intense positive and negative, right and wrong, good and bad, and fighting against each other. When you become a space beyond that, you invite a different space into the world and a different space for your body to live as, because part of what your body does is give you awareness of the world around you, like we've already talked about. When you choose to be a lightness in the world, your body not only receives that, but also contributes, but also receives being the space that it can be, that very few people on the planet are acknowledging and asking it to be. So let's go again to the thing that I started with. By the way, some of you may notice your mind is stopping its ability to function. And you may be going, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. What is he doing to me? This feels like Valium over the airwaves. Let me ask you a question. Is that tired, or are you actually starting to relax? Because one of the things that I do is when I have a conversation with you and talk about something, I be the energy in the space and the consciousness of what I'm speaking about. Why? Because that way, if you watch this thing again, well, number one, you'll get it when I say it, and it will enter your world and interact with your world in a way that's like, here it is, kind of like this beautiful energetic gift. Hopefully you consider it a gift instead of a curse. Oh, well, your choice. Okay. But what it does, it enters your world like this beautiful energetic gift that's like, here you go. Here it is. Here's the energy. Here's the space of it. And strangely, we are actually energetic beings, and we're beings of space. And guess what? Our bodies are also energetic. They're also bodies of space. Whoa, maybe further than I can get us today, but I'd like to give you the acknowledgement at least. Because our bodies actually like the relaxation that space gives us. So one of the things that may be happening is you may notice that your ability to think, like your thinker is starting to get clunky. Or it's like, I can't hold a thought in my head right now. Perfect. That's great. That's where you want to be. That's actually the space I'm speaking about. Whoa. And I know it can seem weird, but I'll tell you what, if you be with it and ask to enjoy it and ask what is possible now that I've never considered, and what is possible with my body that I've never considered, and what is possible beyond old reality that I can now choose. Because each question like that opens up more possibilities for this space to be yours and your body's. So also though, if that occurs or when that occurs, you may be like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. Well, if you want to, you can take a nap. It'll still work while you're sleeping. Be honoring of your body and you, but also ask, am I tired or am I relaxed for perhaps the first time in a very long time? Because one of the things I secretly wanted to do in having this conversation with you is bring you some space and some peace. And the funny part is you would think it occurs from words, because we have been taught that people will talk at us and we need to mentally get it. But what I found is I'm using the words to point out the outline of the energy, and in some cases to distract your mind so it can think something while the energy is actually the contribution. Whether you know it or not, that's how we all function. But that may be a story for another time. So back to our conversation from the very beginning that I still have not gotten to, but I think it'll work a little better now. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is expand out a kilometer, your being, expand your being out, expand the awareness out, whatever you want to call it, your space out. So you're occupying a kilometer in all directions, including down into the earth, by the way, this beautiful, nurturing planet that has a vibration very similar to our bodies, by the way. And unfortunately, most people have been doing to their bodies what we as a society have been doing to the planet. But if you change with the way you are with your body, it may actually change the energetics, which allows us to have something different as our planet. It's almost like oneness actually exists and everything is interconnected. Anyway, oneness and consciousness are synonymous, by the way. Now that I've distracted you again, expand out 10 kilometers in all directions, including down into the earth. Great. Now 100 kilometers in all directions, including down into the earth. Now 1,000 kilometers in all directions, including down into the earth. Now 10,000 kilometers in all directions, including down into the earth. Do you notice when we get to about 10,000 kilometers, you're like, your mind kind of goes, ah. And some of you are like, I can't do such things. I know, I thought I couldn't do such things either. Also, too, I don't know, English it's a fickle mistress. I thought I couldn't do such things also when I first started because nobody ever taught me that energy is actually my first language and I didn't know that I could do this. So expand out. Okay, so we got 10,000 kilometers in all directions. Do you notice that there's a sense of space with that? Now, what I'd like you to do is now expand out, 100 kilometers in all directions beyond that. And notice that you're there too. Now, 1,000 kilometers in all directions beyond that. And notice that you're there too. Now, 100,000 kilometers in all directions beyond that. Or 100,000 kilometers in all directions. Notice that you're there too. Could a being that big fit inside of a body this small? The answer, of course, is heck no. Okay? So here's the deal, my friends. Your body is inside of you, the being. And in actuality, you are not your body and your body is not you. You are actually the space between the molecules of your body that pulled your body together in this form to create it as it is and continues to pull it together in this form because you are actually the space between the molecules. Now, if you would each day just expand out, just go, wow, I'm going to expand out 10, 100,000, whatever, how many kilometers feels nice to you, you'd start your day with way more space. And it's actually this easy. And I know some of you are like, I don't get it. Don't worry about it. It's not gettable, which is why you think you don't get it. Meaning it's too simple and too easy and occurs as soon as I ask you to do it, which is really weird. Okay. So, but if you would do this, how much more space could you have every day? Now, this works no matter where you're living. If you're living in a really populated city, it actually works really well. Actually works even, you'll notice it sometimes even more because what do people do? Most people believe that they are inside of their body. But if you are an infinite being, as so many spiritual traditions have told us, you're an infinite being, which is what they're referring to when they say the higher self. Except the higher self is a separation from you, the lower self in the body. So I'm not a really big fan of that conversation. What I'd rather say is you're an infinite being, which means that your body is inside of you, which means that you are not disconnected from your body, but you, the being, have amazing awarenesses and capacities and energy and magic available with your body too, if you'll acknowledge it. And all it is a simple acknowledgement which changes your awareness and allows you to actually have access to what is actually true. Remember what I said, what's true will always make you lighter. A lie will always make you heavier. Guess what? Does this one make you lighter? When I say you're an infinite being and that you can be that big, or you could be even further, man. You want to go out to like Andromeda Galaxy, you want to go to the black hole in the center of the Milky Way, you want to go as far as you want. I mean, they say the universe is 35 billion light years large. Why don't you expand that big? See what that's like. And I do realize that some of you at this point are going, that white boy is crazy. And I do understand. And but just check it out energetically. And once again, remember, don't take anything home with you that doesn't work for you. Take the bits that work, leave the rest at the door, and maybe come back to it later. But also, are you feeling any different than when we started this conversation? Do you and your body have any different sense of space? Do you have any opening for like more gratitude or more acknowledgement of this sweet creature? And maybe more acknowledgement of you. And also, can we please acknowledge how tough it is right now? That is not your fault. That is not a wrongness of you. That is something the world is trying to take us toward. And guess what? I'm just going to say this. It's not actually going to work. Why? Because there are so many weirdos like you in the world. I would call them the humanoids, the seekers of the world, the people that are looking for a different possibility, the people that look at what's going on and go, are you kidding? How is this happening? We've got to be able to create better and greater than this. We are better than this. Come on, people. Let's wake up. Let's be greater. Those are the humanoids. That's you guys. Okay? How do I know? Because you're watching this. And if you haven't turned it off by now, definitely humanoid. Okay? Because the other ones, and the thing about humanoids is they think they're judgmental of other people. They think they're judgmental people. And they always go, oh my God, I'm so judgmental. But in actuality, the only person they ever judge is themselves. Let me tell you how I know this. Because somebody who is truly judgmental never thinks to themselves, oh my God, I'm so judgmental. They just know they're right. The people who go, oh my God, I'm so judgmental, are actually not in judgment of others. They're actually in judgment of themselves. And they think they're judgmental because they perceive the energy of judgment in other people's worlds and think it's theirs. Oh, by the way, who does that belong to? Is it actually yours? So different possibilities exist as we start to explore from this awareness of what consciousness actually is, where everything and everyone exists and no one and nothing is judged. One of the other perspectives that comes from that, 13 minutes to harass you. Okay, good. One of the other perspectives that comes from that is one of the things I'd like you to get is what consciousness also allows us is the awareness of us simultaneously to perceive ourselves as the drop in the ocean while simultaneously perceiving ourselves as the entire ocean. Now, just be with that for a moment. And you go, that's not possible. Well, actually it is. It's actually a space where I tend to live. I'm aware of myself as the drop and the ocean. And so can you be, if you choose. Now, why does that matter? Because what we tend to do is we tend to go, oh, my body is a drop and it's separate from the ocean and all the other drops. In actuality, you and your body are a drop and the ocean simultaneously. What does that do for us? Well, it allows you to recognize that the things I've talked about space and expanding into more space and how much that actually is you as a being, that it actually can exist, actually does exist, that you're actually not separate the way you think you are, that you're actually connected with everyone and everything, and your body has the awareness of the connection that your being has with everyone and everything, and you can actually use it to create more peace when you acknowledge it and allow it to end the separation between you and others and end the lie that you actually judge others, because in actuality, what you desire is a world that is greater for all of us. Yes or no? So we acknowledge you're not just the little drop, the little tiny drop in a very, 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 very big ocean. So you're not just the drop. That you simultaneously, as the being you are also the ocean. Now, science tells us two objects cannot occupy the same space. It doesn't say two beings cannot be the same space. Let me get to the book for a moment in my last moments of being able to invite or / harass you into a different possibility. Okay. There's just a few things in here that are so beautifully put that I would like to read them to you because I think it will open some more, okay? This is on page 17. Not that that matters, but I just thought I would let you know that if you have a book and you might want to check it out later. Do you know every mole in the... Do you know that I cannot currently read because I'm as spacey as you are right now? Okay, let's try again. Do you know every molecule in the universe has consciousness? Every plant, every raindrop, every gust of wind, every animal, every tree, every gemstone, every rock, every building, every car, every piece of machinery, every person, everything, every body. My body, your body, the bodies you work with, the bodies you know, they all have consciousness. This isn't a new discovery. Einstein acknowledged the consciousness of every molecule and every element in the universe. And here's the key part. He recognized that these conscious molecules communicate with each other all the time. And how? With your first language. The language that is more sophisticated and more instantaneous than words. Energy. Is it possible that your body's been trying to communicate with you for a long, long time? And what would happen if you were to start listening? Next one is from page 71, which is like a palindrome of 17. Oh my goodness. Have you ever met people in your life that make the tiniest things significant? And they're so into it, and you're like, what do I care if it's 11:11? Sorry. Okay. Anyway, everything that brought up. Okay. A judgment, by its very nature, solidifies a point of view. And nothing that doesn't match that point of view can come into your awareness. Pretty limiting, right? I've said this already, and I'll say it again. Judgment is a killer. It's a killer of possibilities. It's a killer of space. It's a killer of energy. It's a killer of joy. It's a killer of happiness. Moreover, it's the #1 cause of pain, suffering, and illness on the planet. As a body whisperer, understanding more about judgment and its destructive and limiting nature puts you in a place where I believe hardly any other healers on the planet are right now. And a place where you can begin, where you can bring change into your own world and the world of the people you work with and work on with true ease. The thing about judgment is that it's an ingrained habit, and it's no one's fault that they picked it up. It's almost like a reflex. We've been conditioned to judge everything about us. Everything we think, everything we choose, everything we do is labeled as good or bad, right or wrong. What if it didn't have to be that way? What if it's not the way you really are underneath all the conditioning? What if dropping judgment altogether would be like a homecoming and a return to your true nature? Almost like getting your wings back. You had those wings when you were a baby, by the way. You didn't come into the world judging yourself or others. You were a little ball of conscious energy and light. And as with any habit, judgment is a habit you can choose to break. Page 91, if anybody cares. At the time of writing, we're in an era of human history where a lot of citizens of the world are frustrated and angry with the politicians and policymakers who seem to rule the planet. As angry as you may be at certain political figures, if you really want to make a change in the world and step into your true power as a healer and change maker, the most effective step you can take is to let go of your judgment about those people and about you. Remember, your judgment merely solidifies what is already there. Until now, you might have thought you only ever have two choices in responding to any event. You can align and agree, which is the positive polarity, or you can resist and react, which is the negative polarity. Now you have awareness of a third option. You can be interesting point of view, the option with no polarity to it. You can view a situation and simply recognize what's going on. That's such a powerful place to be. And contrary to what a lot of people will tell you, it also happens to be the place where you create the most change. Most of us have been taught that we have to fight against certain causes or injustices in order to affect change. We've been taught that unless we choose a side and take a stand against the wrongs we see in the world, nothing will change and nothing can get greater. That's a lie, a really big one. The truth is that our potency lies in choosing to be interesting point of view about these people, events, and injustices that we wish to make greater. When we go beyond the need to fight and prove how wrong the other side is, we're much more likely to initiate change. Being interesting point of view, or IPOV, is what allows us to open the space for possibilities to exist. And that's how we quite literally become a space of change. Fighting against a person or a cause is no longer required. Being is what is required. And haven't you been fighting against limitation for long enough? Choose to be the space of interesting point of view, and that different world you've been desiring will begin to actualize right in front of you. Interesting point of view is the platform where your healing rocket can take off. The closer you get to the space of being, the more change you can create, and you can do it faster and on a bigger scale than you ever thought possible. Oof. Chapter 9. Ooh, it's almost time for me to shut up. Being in the question. The act of asking a question is such a simple, beautiful gateway to change. From asking questions, we're able to perceive energy, as we just explored in the previous chapter. And we're able to open the door to letting more chaos, continuous, glorious, healing, change-making chaos, not havoc, they're often misidentified and misapplied, into our lives. One of the fundamental things you can have in your awareness as a healer and change maker is to continuously stay in the question. And not just when you're with someone or working on someone, but in every moment of your life. If this concept of being in the question is new to you, please don't try to wrap your head around it. Allow your curiosity to carry you. See what feels light to you and see what you discover. Here's the thing. Asking a question or being the question or being in the question is one of the quickest routes we can take toward change for ourselves and the people we work with. A question allows us to get to the heart of the crux of any situation in a flash. Questions break down walls, let light and space in, and they let change in, and they allow us to see what's keeping us stuck. From there, we can undo and uncreate anything that's limiting us, and we can also access the possibilities for change to make our lives infinitely greater. When you recognize, being in the question is a key element of consciousness, and consciousness is all about choice. What else presents you with choice more than a question? When you recognize you have choice, it's incredibly liberating whether you're realizing it for the first time or the 1,000th time. Having choice means you're not at the mercy of anyone or anything else. You're in control of your life and living, and it's such a beautiful place to be. Questions are empowering, while answers are disempowering. Answers are conclusive, like a full stop, a period, a closed door. The issue is that answers are sought after the world over, and the tricky thing is that usually answers are exactly what people desire and require from us. Okay, there was more that I was going to read, but my ADHD took over, so I did not get the chance. The idea of the question is, like when I said, what else is possible? If you go through, you'll see that I asked several questions during this. And at first experiencing questions, a lot of times you're like, well, those aren't powerful enough. I need to do something more solid. I need to do something more strong. But in actuality, my beautiful friends, if we're going to be what we can be together in this world and open up possibilities, what we really want to be is the lightness of a question. A question always opens up other doorways of possibility. Like, what else is possible? What's right about me I'm not getting? What is possible beyond this reality that I think is not possible, that if I just allowed the possibility, would start actualizing a different reality? How much greater can things be than I imagined? What would it take to change this? What's right about this I'm not getting? And also, how does it get any better than this whenever something good or something bad happens? I've been doing this throughout, my conversation, giving you several questions. If you go back and listen and maybe write some of those down and just start using them. What I'm interested in is from this, you getting some element of change. And I know I have talked about bodies, and I know this hasn't been only about bodies, because what your body is like a cat's whiskers. It's an element that gives you awareness of the world around you, but it really should be a sensate, sensorial, sensational organism with which you navigate reality from a place of ease and joy and exuberant expression and abundance. That's only possible if we start to embrace the fact that these things have consciousnness also, that we are beings that are way bigger than we've ever given ourselves credit for. And if we start to explore the possibilities of what is available, if we start to recognize that our body communicates energetically and it's giving us information all the time. So my desire, my wish for you is to actually have the lightness and actually joy in being alive. And I will say this again, I've said it a few times, but your lightness is the gift you bring the world. Your heaviness brings the world down into more heaviness. Your lightness inspires the weirdos like you and me to know that it's actually possible for a living being on this planet to choose. Now is the space, my beautiful friends, to create a totally different future. Not to change what is here into some other version of what is here, but now is the space, and the space is now, to actually live as and from space in the creation of our bodies, the creation of our lives, and the creation of our future together. Now is the space beyond judgment. Now is the space of possibilities. Now is the space for everything you always knew was possible to finally exist. I am so grateful for you taking this hour with me today, or at this point, this hour and 1 or 2 minutes. I am very grateful for your presence. And I am grateful that you are desiring and seeking a different possibility in the world. Please recognize what a gift that is. I'd like to also thank the Positivity Project one more time. I love those guys. I adore them immensely. I thank you for what you're bringing to the world. And my beautiful friends, what if you, truly being you, recognizing that now is the space and choosing to be the space that you can be beyond judgment, exploring a world of possibilities, and knowing that there is something different that we can create as a future, and actually asking for it and asking what you can be to allow it to show up, are the gift, the change, and the possibility this world requires. You are, please receive my gratitude for you being in this world right now, because